Hello and good evening, everyone. So today I'd like to do a review of the game Gotham Knights. So this game is a few months old. To be honest, I only bought it because it's on Black Friday sale, and I'd seen other reviews on it, and the reason that I pulled back from buying it when it was full price is because the reviews on it weren't good. By that I mean that it was almost universally said to be a bad game. Although, didn't really agree with the reasons that they said it was bad. When I watched these reviews, I really felt they were wrong. So I got the game, I played it. I waited to do the review until I complete the entire game. So let's get into it. First, I'm going to start by saying what other reviewers have said and why I agree or disagree with them. And then I'm going to go deeper because most of the reviews I've read and or watched on this game really only cover a little bit of surface topic about it. So the one thing almost every reviewer has said is it only runs at 30 FPS. Now, as a gamer, I've played on some pretty unsatisfactory equipment, and I will tell you right now, just my opinion, my experience is that anything over like 15 FPS is playable. Is it great? No, but it's playable. To me, over 60 is the sweet spot. I know people are playing at 120, 144, and those are awesome, buttery smooth, great motion, but I'm just saying it's not a necessity. And to me, 30 FPS for this game runs pretty good. It does have a lot of motion blur, but for me, that only adds to the game because in a real combat situation when you're fighting six guys, all you're going to see is a blur a lot of times. Uh, the graphics are very last gen, not next gen, but a lot of details in them. A lot of occlusion, a lot of fluctuating shape draw to give you motion of fabrics. They put a lot of tricks and time into these graphics, and they're great. They're more than playable. They are pretty awesome. They're just not mind-blowing next gen like you expect. I played this game on the Xbox Series S, and my only complaint graphical-wise, and I don't know if this was a function of the S, or perhaps it was just their code, about 3 times in my play, and I'll show it in my recording, my video, there would be a fight with 12, 15, 20 bad guys, and the graphics would glitch out, and I would have to play basically with no video. There would be a still shot on the screen, but it wouldn't change. The frames wouldn't update, but once a minute. Now that would be a second. That's not a complaint. That's just a glitch. It could have been my Series S doing this. But what is a complaint is that the combat AI is so canned, so methodical that even with no graphics, just with the sound cues, I was able to dodge shots and win the fight. And I'm not good at this game, so. And I'm going to get into my complaints later. Let's move on to the next thing that I've heard about this game and why I agree or disagree with it. Again, I give the graphics a B, an A for effort. They're good, they're just not mind blowing. The next thing I hear is the story's mediocre. I even read one where a guy said that the storyline was basically 2 animated movies that they took and mashed together. Now, I don't know about that. I'm not a big DC fan. I haven't seen all the animated movies. But I will say the storyline was good. It was just too long. It really felt like they wanted to do more, like they had more story to give, and then like, nope, just close the holes and put everything together. The beginning, awesome, great. I was totally into it. Trying not to give spoilers, the death of Batman, which everybody knows this game is about, was done in a way that I was just like, this is perfect. I hope they don't bring him back ever in any other form because you have just done the perfect death scene. They did a lot of humanizing moments for the knights, the Bat family, being Nightwing, Robin, Red Hood, Batgirl. Let them grieve over Bruce's loss. Alfred, of course, Jacob Kane, all the characters that interacted with Batman over the years. and I thought that was very nice. That being said, after a while, you start getting to the end of the story, and they throw other villains into it, or these guys keep repeating themselves, and it gets very tedious. Again, maybe they were trying to give you more content for your money, but in my opinion, it could have been a much better game if they had either closed some of the story loops other than just saying, oh, no, you defeated him, it's done, and then bring them back later for almost no reason. I don't know. I've also read that some people say this game is about 8 to 9 hours worth of content. Now, my playtime to completion was 25 hours. I would say 8 to 9 is possible on a speed run, but also that the problem with the content is not that there's not a lot of it, because there is. Even the speed run, I probably would have only been able to beat it in 12 to 15 hours. I think what they say when they say there's only 8 to 9 hours of content is the fact that the content is so repetitive. There's not just grinding in this game, there's uber grinding. So they took something that some people love out of other games, which is when the boss fights, you kill the boss, but then he comes back, and he was wearing a shield or something. They do that with every boss in this game, and it gets repetitive and old, especially since the AI, once you learn the dance, you've got to fight. There were plenty of fights in this game that after the first minute or two, once I had learned the dance, I'm just like, they should just have an auto win button, because at this point I'm going to win. I just got to wait through all these movements to get my hit in. And that is very, very frustrating as a gamer. The next thing that made this content kind of, I could see how you would call it 8 hours if you compressed it, was the fact there's a lack of variety. What I mean by that is, in the game there are 3 gangs. They call them factions. And they don't explain it like this, but I'm going to try to explain it like this. So the gangs each have a leader, even though they don't officially say it. You've got the freaks led by Harley Quinn, the regulars led by Mr. Freeze, and the mob led by Penguin. There are some other factions, but I'm not trying to give spoilers. These are your 3 main. These are the 3 you're going to deal with them throughout the course of the game. The other 2 come in towards the end of the game, and unless you're trying to grind, you really don't deal with them except for main storyline fights towards the end. Anyway, in these 3 gangs, when you're going through Gotham City and you find them, they'll be in a group, and there'll always be some mini ones, some average sized guys that do a little dance. They can have a shocker glove, they can have a gun, they can have a little drone that flies around and tries to shoot at you. But it's all very choreographed, all very telegraphed, easy to dodge the shots. While I liked that fact that I wasn't taking a lot of bullet damage, it was kind of annoying that it was easy to get out of the way. They do have elemental damage, like the regulars have freeze guns. But all in all, it's always the same dance, no matter what the gang is. It'll be the same cues, the same line for when somebody's aiming at you, the same hold on, I'm reloading when they're getting ready to shoot at you, and it makes the game too easy. Now, on top of these mini guys, there'll usually be one bigger boss guy in each mob. He's a bigger guy, he usually has a shield, but again, once you learn his moves, it's the same thing, rinse and repeat. Even though that you don't have many bad guys in a variety, they don't even give them different costumes. There are like 3 different costumes for every bad guy. What I mean by that is, when you're in Blackgate, the bad guy mobs wear a prison-looking uniform. When you're uptown, they wear more of a dress uniform. When you're in a different part of Gotham, they wear crazy things. But there's not a lot of variety. It's like three different ones. There's not a lot of variety. Again, it makes the whole game seem like a grind. Another thing is navigating Gotham City. So Gotham is not that large. A lot of times it feels like they make you travel slower than what you would to make Gotham seem bigger. You do get the choice of using a bat grapple to go rooftop to rooftop, Spider-Man style essentially, or the bat cycle. I didn't pre-order, I didn't get the different bat cycle skins, but that could have been cool. Now, each character will earn its own skins, which is great. Different costumes from through the years. The problem with the skin system is that sometimes I choose a skin. I'm really excited to see how it looks in game. I have to leave the hub, the Belfry, to go out in Gotham, and my guy didn't change clothes. Again, it's small. It's not a big complaint, but that is annoying. Another thing is you don't get to section the skins. The skins are named, year one, Metal Knight, whatever. That is your skin. You can't take the cowl from one and the boots from one. Although you can color them to suit your wants and needs. Another thing about gear that is dropped in this game is they have a crafting system, which is broken. So as you play, as you level up, I'm assuming, because it never notifies you, you earn blueprints. The blueprints allow you to build gear, but it never tells you you have a new blueprint. You only find out when you go to the crafting bench in the Belfry, and you look and you're like, oh, there's a piece of gear I don't have. There is also a salvage system. You take your old gear and destroy it, so you have the materials to build the new gear. You also get materials by defeating the small mobs as you patrol Gotham. Now, why I say this is broken is because the gears have levels. And beyond levels, they also have a rarity type. Anything that is, I believe, epic or better, that gear seems to level with you. As in, while you're playing, you go to the crafting bench after a hard night of fighting crime in Gotham, you build this new piece of gear, or you see the new piece of gear you can build, and its stats will be lower than the piece of gear you're wearing, because that piece of gear you're wearing has been leveling while you're playing. So, essentially, it almost seems like you should wear the same gear the whole game once you get some epic gear, which you get very early in the game. The problem with that I found was, oh, these numbers are great. I'm keeping this piece of gear. All of a sudden, the fight started getting harder and harder. I switched out the gear for something that should have been worse by the numbers, and the new gear functioned better, even though it had not leveled with it. So it's like the numbers and the stats and the effects that they give this gear do not really have an effect in the game. Now, I played the bulk of this game with Batgirl. I got her bioelectric Tonfa, her weapon, and it did give out an electrical pulse when I got a critical hit. So it did do something, but again, when I changed it out, I was doing more damage with the weapon with lower stats. It didn't make a lot of sense. The only thing I think is that the crafting system is a little broke on that end. Um, besides just doing the main story or going around Gotham and finding these gangs and beating them, saving cops and citizens, there are other activities you can do. Number one is you can fight these gangs and you can interrogate them. If you interrogate them, it's supposed to lead you to other crimes. Nothing was ever groundbreaking. Nothing really helped the story except for the times that you have to interrogate a gang member, like during the tutorial or while you're looking for a certain location. But the one thing I had about the interrogation techniques I didn't like was the fact that there's an auto finisher system in the game. Meaning if he's the last gangster in the field, when you get him to half life, your guy automatically does a finisher. So most of the time, to interrogate a gang member, you have to have two. So you're trying to interrogate this guy with this other dude coming at you, and it was a level of difficulty like in a logical world. I would put everybody else down before I got this guy interrogated. You do the interrogation. They always give some quip response. You're gonna love what I'm gonna tell you, or this is all I know, or whatever. Doesn't really tell you anything. They just make the quick response, and he goes, "Ah, I got the intel." Again, it was just a little added portion of the game. There's lots of side quests that don't involve fighting. You just have to go to a location and talk to a person, see a monument. A lot of people complain this isn't an Arkham game. It is not an Arkham game. All those annoying trophy systems that are in the Arkham games, which make the game take like 300 years, aren't in this. There is a little bit of trophy collecting, but it's not on the same level. There are chests that Bruce Wayne or Batman has left for you around the city that you have to do a time run to win the chest. There are batarangs that he hid around the city that you're trying to collect for the prize. But there's not the Joker trophies and the Riddler trophies and that annoying stuff. Most of the stuff is easily found through the map and gives you a little challenge, but it's a little challenge and an immediate reward. Now, there are monuments you're supposed to go look at throughout the city. Again, it's not a quest, it's a side quest. But again, even those are easily found. What I did like is that each character, Nightwing, Robin, Batgirl, Red Hood, they all have their own story. The main storyline is the same, is the death of Batman and the re-securing of Gotham City, but they each have their own life, and they each have their own cutscenes. Again, there are common cutscenes, but you can go into their own storyline, see what they're going through, kind of humanize them a little bit, and that was very nice. Another thing I liked about the game was not just that each character had its own little side quest to tell their story, but each character definitely has their own playstyle. It's not just a different graphic on the screen swinging a weapon around. Red Hood has guns. Batgirl has these tonfas, which are basically nightsticks. Nightwing has sticks too, but he fights in a completely different way. He's more of an acrobat. He's not trying to overpower people. He's doing flipping over people, doing this crazy stuff. Red Hood's just shoot, 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 punch the hell out of people. Batgirl's just like, oh, this tonfa can do some tricks, but she's really a ground. Like each character felt like a different game. Is what I'm trying to get at. They did add a DLC. Uh, it is. It feels like a raid for an MMO. It is where you have to go through this building, you go down the floors, and you're supposed to find Starro. I didn't mess with that raid too much because the multiplayer system in the game is broken. So there is no lobby, there is no real communication system. There is a friends list, but it's hard to navigate. You just have to hope somebody else is in the game. During the course of my playthrough, I met about 3 players, and it was pretty much just random people. As you're playing, they appear in your map. You can interact with them or not, your choice. They're living their own adventure, you're living your own adventure. It's not like other MMOs. Although, to be honest, they never advertised this as a live service game, but since they have MMO features in it, at least make them work somewhat. So to do the Starro raids, you need 4 players. All 4 you have to go to this building and elect a host, a leader. Since I met like 3 people in the game on 3 different occasions, never once saw 2 or 3 or the mythical 4, I never did the raids, but I did look at them in the option screens when you're in the building to go fight Starro, and they all looked pretty stupid, thrown together. One was like defeat 100 freaks on this floor. Now, one villain that was absent during the entire game was the Joker. And I'm not up on my DC mythology, so maybe the Joker's dead. I don't know. Just gonna notice that the one villain almost everybody universally thinks of when you think of Batman was absent from this game. Now, another thing, again, trying to keep out of spoiler neighborhood. There is a villain, Clayface. He is in the game, but they really don't need him in there. Like, he has nothing to do with the main story. He shows up. You have to go fight him because he shows up. But you've got so much other stuff going on all the time. It's almost like, I just die, Clayface. I gotta come get you because I need to shut up because I'm trying to do this other stuff. It really felt like there was a complete another story that they started and said, oh, no, we're not doing this. It just kind of was immersion breaking. The entire game itself is hub-based. You have one hub, the Belfry, which most people don't like. You like multiple hubs, like places to go, places to explore. I will give the Belfry credit. They had a lot of work on it. It was big. There was a couple rooms to explore. Everything you needed to do was there. You could train with a virtual Batman that he left for you to train with. There was a bat computer for you to analyze clues. There was a kitchen where the characters would have meals together sometimes. There was a little hangout lounge where they had Spy Hunter. You could actually play Spy Hunter. I don't know if you would get an award if you got high enough. I made it to number 8 of the leaderboard. Didn't get anything, but who knows, there could be an Easter egg in there. All in all, I feel like this was a really good game. At the Black Friday price, it was a good game. But I really think that it missed on a lot of levels for a full price game. Like I said, I'm not going to harp on the graphics because they were great, but I will harp on the glitches that I experienced a couple times. But I got to defend it by saying I don't know if that was the Series S that caused the glitches or the software. I will harp on the multiplayer system is broken. The storyline is too repetitive. It's a good storyline until it gets so repetitive you're just like, end. And you can ask the people in my house when I was playing this game towards the end how many times I shouted, that's not the end? Over and over. Repetitive as hell. It got annoying and frustrating. Like, literally, I wouldn't have finished this game, but I beat so many bosses, I was like, no, I will finish it. There are a lot of good puzzles in the game. It does take a little mind work. To be honest, I did use YouTube as a resource twice. And, again, don't know if this was the Series S that caused it. There was one puzzle in particular that was annoying because it just would not trigger correctly. I finally restarted the game. It triggered correctly. I went on. But it does take a little bit of brain work to be like, oh, that's how that works. But the great thing about these puzzles is there is not one puzzle in this game, I believe, that you could not figure out if you took enough time to do it. One other good thing about this game is in the Arkham games, Batman always has a detective mode, a enhanced vision mode, some kind of mode so he can find clues that he doesn't see with his regular eyes. What I always hated about that mode was it turned all the graphics into wireframes. Sometimes you had to walk around this mode for a little bit. I'm like, I'm missing all the graphics in this game because I have to walk around in detective mode. They took a lessons from that. All the characters in the game, Gotham Knights, do have a detective mode, but it doesn't change the graphics. It just highlights what you're looking for. And I thought that was really nice. There is a solve the puzzle element when you do an investigation. You come upon a crime scene, and as you cursor over things, they'll highlight themselves, say, this is a clue, this is a clue. And then it'll ask you to put the clues together in order to solve the crime. That was very nice. And if you get stuck on those puzzles, the investigation puzzles specifically, it actually has a button where it says, just solve it for me. They don't let the puzzle be in the way of the storyline. I thought that was a nice touch. Yes, it's a hard puzzle. Yes, people that want a challenge are going to do it. I did a lot of them. But I like the fact there was a help me button. That was a nice touch. A lot of humanization, a lot of back and forth between characters. it was a good game. The repetition ruined it for me. The graphical glitches ruined it for me. The broken crafting system, the broken cosmetic system, that type of stuff kind of ruined it for me. So ultimately, Gotham Knights, I'm sorry, B minus C plus is the best I can give you, and that's getting you on a Black Friday sale price. Anyway, check out the video. Let me know what you think. Thank you all for your time. As an addendum and a postscript to this, as I'm editing the video footage I have captured of the game to show you guys the glitches, the main mission which I captured to highlight this, you can actually see the frames that I did not see. What I do get is a lot of graphical tearing and screen blanking that I didn't see, but for some reason the external capture card I used did pick that up. But what I was seeing during gameplay was just as bad. The entire screen would freeze. I could hear the audio cues going. I'm just mashing buttons trying to survive. It's not an excuse as to why I failed that mission. As you can see at the end of it, there's a guy trapped in the car. I can't kill him. I can't complete that mission, so I just move on and re-trigger that same mission later in the game and beat it. But this was what I was talking about as far as the graphical problems I was having sometimes. Again, I don't know if it was the Series S, I don't know if it was the external capture card I was using, or if it was just the game that was doing this. I do notice a lot of graphical tearing happens when I leave that area. Again, I didn't see that during my actual in-game play. I'm going to blame the capture card for that little part, but there were still a lot of graphical glitches that I experienced when I tried to play through this. Anyway, enjoy my video. Thanks a lot. Let me know what you think, what I can do better. Maybe I'm using the wrong type of capture card. Maybe you've got some suggestions on a capture card that would do even better. You all have a nice night.